Hello and welcome to Blythe Business News, where today I'm joined by Richard Williams. Richard is a director of privately owned Peak Nickel. Richard, welcome back on the programme. Peak Nickel, first time we've heard of you on this show. Tell us a bit more about the asset, where it's located, what have you got, obviously nickel, but what kind of grades are we talking about?
Well, that's a lot of questions. So Peak Nickel was formed by a chap by the name of Chris Mackenzie. I joined the board as a director almost a year ago, and Chris has managed to secure a project in Aberdeenshire in northeast Scotland that has tremendous potential for nickel, copper, cobalt mineralization. In fact, this particular project that we've been drilling was discovered 50 years ago by a joint venture company called EVL, which was a joint venture between Gold Fields and Rio Tinto. And it's really sat there for the last 50 years without any follow-up. So, now we're in a great position to see how big this thing could be.
Okay. Now, you said there you've got cobalt as nickel and other things. Let's just focus on the nickel for the time being, though. Could you explain to the viewers why nickel is considered such an important resource?
Well, nickel in particular is used in the cathodes of electric vehicles and the batteries for electric vehicles. So, that's the main use in the energy transition sector. Likewise, cobalt is also used in the cathodes, both because of the density of the metals and its properties to hold large amounts of energy. And there's very little in the way of recent new discoveries of nickel and copper and cobalt in Europe that could supply domestic requirements for these metals for the auto industry. So I think that's what gives us a really good advantage here.
Okay, so an exciting project based in the UK, but you're a private company. So why should investors, why should viewers get excited about your business?
Well, right now, I think there's an opportunity for us to demonstrate the scale of this project. We're in the process of raising £500,000 to do the next phase of work. That's being done at a kind of a pre-money valuation of just over £7 million. And the use of proceeds from the £500,000 would be to fly about a 250, 300 square kilometre area to look for other massive sulfide bodies, and also to drill about 1,000 meters of drilling in and around the two main areas that we've drilled so far, which we call the north and south zones of the Rodburn target. And if that drilling is successful, we think it could outline a target of up to 20 million tons of 1 to 2% nickel equivalent. So I think we can achieve a lot and really add some serious value to the project and the company for not a great deal of expenditure.
I've got to ask you, you're a private company. Any plans to list the business on the public markets?
Most definitely. I think if you look at other nickel, copper, cobalt projects globally that are public, when you get into that kind of 15 to 20 million ton range, they tend to command valuations in the $100 to $200 million range. And I think that's what we're aiming for here, is to show that we've got that potential and then come to market at the right time when the market's supportive, and to take the project through feasibility and then hopefully into production.
You mentioned a moment ago the Rodburn asset, the Rodburn project. Can you give us a bit more detail on that? I mean, what are the key advantages it has?
Well, this part of Scotland, it's mainly rolling farmland, sort of barley, cattle and sheep farming. Access is very good. You've got road access to the project. There's power lines that run over the area. There's a railway very close by. It's only an hour's drive northwest of Aberdeen, kind of located between Aberdeen and Inverness. Inverness has free port status, so you could potentially load up a concentrate from site, ship it out through Inverness for processing in Scandinavia. So you'd minimize that carbon footprint of some of the materials that are needed for this energy transition.
Okay, final question. News flow. I mean, if people are now getting interested in Peak Nickel, what should we be looking out for in the coming months?
Well, the first step is obviously to close this financing. Next is to get the drill turning again. And of the the drilling that we've got planned, there are 3 short holes. It'll be about 100 meters each, spaced about 200 meters apart. And they would be targeting the North Zone, which comes right to surface and has got potential for open pit and underground mining. And then we would drill 1 deep hole into the high grade zone, where we've been getting up to 6 meters of over 2% nickel, plus up to 1% copper and over 0.1% cobalt. So very valuable rock. And we've from the drilling we've done to date, we've drilled about 3,600 meters over the last 2 years. We've identified the orientation of the high grade shoot. We want to drill that shoot further down dip. And if that deeper hole hits, then we're looking at 6 to 10 million ton potential. But these things, once you get into them, they can be very extensive. And so, there'll be the start of drilling, results from drilling, plus the airborne survey. And if you can imagine a whole area that's got almost like a tablecloth draped over it, and that tablecloth is clay from the most recent ice age, glacial till, that covers the geology. So there's not a lot in the way of outcrop in this area. So the airborne geophysical survey will be used to identify other massive sulfide targets that are coincident, hopefully with magnetic anomalies, that we can also add to the pipeline of targets to test and show that not only have we got great potential at Rodburn, but there are other targets in the belt that warrant further drilling.
Well, Richard, thank you for that. Come back, keep us informed, and we wish you every success with the drilling and the exploration. That was Richard Williams, director of Peak Nickel, based there in Scotland, giving us a quick introduction to the company and its assets. That's it for this edition of Blythe Business News. Thanks for watching.